The most dangerous mystery in Nathan Callahan's mansion was not who wanted him gone. It was why his own body seemed to betray him at exactly the same time, over and over again. At 2:13 in the morning, Alicia Carter heard glass strike hardwood from behind the private study door. She stopped with both hands wrapped around the handle of her cleaning cart, listening as the old mansion settled beneath the cold Chicago wind. Then came a second sound, a chair scraping, a breath pulled too sharply. Alicia moved before fear could convince her otherwise. She pushed open the heavy walnut door and found Nathan Callahan slumped beside his mahogany desk, one hand gripping the edge as if the entire room had tilted beneath him. The man whose name could silence crowded restaurants looked suddenly drained of color. His white skin was pale beneath the amber desk lamp, his dark hair damp at the temples, his gray eyes struggling to focus. A black coffee cup rested on its side near his hand. Alicia froze for half a second. Then training from years of caring for her aging father replaced panic. She called for help, kept her voice steady, and stayed several feet away while Nathan fought to remain upright. "Mr. Callahan, can you hear me?" His eyes found hers. He tried to answer, but confusion crossed his face first. Footsteps thundered through the hallway. Michael Hayes arrived with 2 household staff members, followed moments later by Dr. Everett Shaw, still buttoning his charcoal overcoat. Shaw moved directly toward Nathan. Everyone else watched the patient. Alicia watched the room. Maybe that was why she noticed it. The coffee cup. A faint white ring clung to the black ceramic near the bottom, almost invisible beneath the warm light. Alicia knew that cup. She had washed it herself 3 hours earlier. She knew the smooth glaze, the tiny scratch beside the handle, the way water rolled cleanly from its surface. There had been no ring. She bent and reached for it. "Leave that." Shaw's voice cut across the study. Alicia looked up. The doctor was staring at her hand. Not Nathan. Her hand. "I was only picking up the cup, sir." Shaw crossed the room and took it from her before she could. "Stand." His smile arrived a second too late. Cleaning staff should clean. The words were quiet, polished, almost courteous. Somehow, that made them colder. Alicia lowered her eyes. "Yes, sir." Nathan heard it. Even through the fog pressing against his thoughts, he heard the dismissal in Shaw's voice and saw something pass across Alicia's face. Not anger. Fear. Shaw placed the cup on a side table and began asking Nathan familiar questions. Date. Time. Location. Nathan answered slowly. This had happened before. Too many times. 8 months of specialists, scans, blood work, private consultations, and explanations that changed every few weeks. Stress. Exhaustion. A rare neurological disorder. An unusual metabolic response. Nathan Callahan could identify betrayal across a boardroom in 30 seconds. Yet he could not explain why his own hands sometimes trembled before breakfast. Alicia stepped backward, returning to her cart. She should leave. She knew that. 6 weeks in this house had taught her the first rule of surviving among powerful people. Do your job. Keep your head down. Never become memorable. But as she turned toward the hallway, something inside the small brass trash bin beside Nathan's desk caught her attention. Alicia stopped. She had changed that liner at 11:15. She remembered because Nathan had still been working, and she had apologized for disturbing him. She had emptied the coffee filter from the small private brewer, replaced it, wiped the machine, and logged the service on her cleaning sheet. Now the bin was nearly empty. The used filter was gone. Alicia stared at the black plastic liner. Her pulse quickened. Behind her, Shaw spoke softly to Nathan. Michael asked whether an ambulance was necessary. The mansion filled with controlled voices and expensive certainty. Alicia said nothing. She pushed her cart into the hallway and kept walking. But Nathan watched her leave. And for the first time that night, the Mafia Boss stopped wondering what was wrong with his body. He began wondering what his cleaning lady had seen. 6 weeks earlier, Alicia Carter had arrived at the Callahan mansion carrying one canvas lunch bag, a pair of comfortable black shoes, and a promise to herself that this job would remain simple. She was 32, experienced, careful, and tired of temporary cleaning contracts that changed every 3 months. Her father had retired from city maintenance the previous spring, and although he never asked for help, Alicia knew his fixed income disappeared quickly beneath property taxes, groceries, and prescription copays. The Callahan position offered steady hours, health insurance, and a paycheck that arrived every other Friday without excuses. Alicia needed stability. She did not need curiosity. On her first morning, head housekeeper Margaret Doyle walked her through nearly 12,000 square feet of dark wood, black marble, and windows tall enough to make Chicago winter look beautiful instead of cruel. Margaret explained the rules in a voice shaped by 20 years of repeating them. Private offices required permission. Financial documents were never touched. Staff used the east staircase. Dr. Everett Shaw could enter any room without being questioned. Nathan Callahan preferred silence before 8 in the morning. "And if Mr. Callahan speaks to you?" Alicia asked. Margaret gave her a strange look. "Answer him." Alicia waited. "That is all. That is usually enough." Nathan first spoke to Alicia 4 days later. She was replacing flowers in the entrance hall when his voice came from behind her. "Those are dead." Alicia turned. The white Mafia Boss stood 10 feet away in a black overcoat, his gray eyes fixed on the vase. "Yes, sir." "Then why are they still there?" "The florist delivery is late." Nathan looked at the brown edges of the roses. "Remove them. The table will be empty." Empty is more honest than pretending. Alicia studied him for half a second before lowering her eyes. "Yes, sir." The next morning, fresh white lilies appeared before 7. Nathan said nothing about them. But 2 weeks later, Alicia noticed he remembered her name. He remembered the chef's daughter's college graduation, too. He approved a paid week off when Margaret's sister needed surgery. He terrified half the staff, rarely smiled, and never allowed late payroll. Alicia did not mistake fairness for kindness. Still, the details complicated the stories she had heard. Then she saw the first episode. Nathan was walking through the breakfast room when he suddenly stopped beside a chair. His hand closed around the carved wooden back. His face lost color. Dr. Shaw arrived 20 minutes later and called it exhaustion. 3 days after that, Nathan became confused during a meeting and asked Michael the same question twice. The following week, Alicia found him sitting alone in the library at 10 in the morning, staring at a report he had apparently read for nearly an hour. "Mr. Callahan?" she said from the doorway. Nathan looked up slowly. "What?" "I need to clean the fireplace." His eyes moved toward the cold fireplace. Then back to her. "It is not lit." "No, sir." Silence. "Why would you clean it?" Alicia hesitated. "Because it was lit yesterday." Nathan stared at her. Something like embarrassment crossed his face before his usual control returned. 5 minutes. Alicia left without another word. By her 4th week, everyone in the mansion had learned how to respond. If Nathan looked pale, call Michael. If his hands shook, call Shaw. If he became confused, reduce noise and clear the room. Specialists came through the west entrance carrying leather cases and careful expressions. Nathan underwent tests at private clinics. Shaw used phrases Alicia heard while cleaning hallways. Possible neurological disorder. Atypical presentation. Progressive symptoms. Nathan grew thinner. His suits hung differently across his shoulders. Some mornings he moved through the mansion with his old precision. Other mornings, walking 20 feet seemed to exhaust him. Alicia told herself it was none of her business. Then Sunday came. Nathan ate breakfast, worked 6 hours, walked through the courtyard despite the 28-degree cold. No trembling, no confusion, no weakness. The next Sunday was the same. Alicia noticed because cleaning was repetition, and repetition taught the eye what belonged. On Monday, Dr. Shaw arrived at 7:40. By 10:15, Nathan canceled 2 meetings and returned to his study. Wednesday, Shaw arrived at 8. Nathan became dizzy before lunch. Friday, another visit, another episode. Alicia stood in the staff laundry room that evening folding white towels while the pattern quietly assembled itself in her mind. Sunday, strong. Monday, weak. Tuesday, better. Wednesday, weak. Thursday, better. Friday, weak. Margaret entered carrying fresh linens. "You are thinking too loudly," she said. Alicia forced a smile. "Just tired." Margaret left. Alicia finished folding the towel. She did not know medicine. She did not know rare diseases. She knew schedules. She knew surfaces. She knew when a trash liner had been changed and when a coffee cup had been cleaned. And somewhere inside the Callahan mansion, a pattern had begun repeating itself. By the 5th week, Alicia could predict Nathan's bad mornings before Nathan could. She hated that. Prediction made the pattern feel less like coincidence and more like a question nobody important had bothered to ask. Monday began at 7:43 when Dr. Everett Shaw entered through the west doors carrying his brown leather medical case. Alicia was polishing the brass railing near the upper landing. She watched him remove his coat, greet Michael Hayes, and walk directly toward Nathan's private study. At 7:48, Margaret appeared from the breakfast room. No staff in the study until 8:20. Alicia looked at the clock. Doctor's request? Margaret nodded. Same as always. Same as always. Alicia pushed her cart toward the east hallway. She did not argue. She cleaned 2 guest rooms, replaced hand towels, and returned downstairs at 8:26. Nathan's study door stood open. Shaw was gone. Nathan sat behind his desk reading financial reports. A black coffee cup rested beside his right hand. Morning, Mr. Callahan. Nathan did not look up. Alicia. She stopped. He remembered her name again. Sir, you are standing still. Sorry. Alicia moved toward the shelves with a microfiber cloth. Nathan continued reading. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then his fingers missed the corner of a page. He tried again. The paper slipped from his hand. Alicia looked toward him. Nathan noticed. Do not what, sir? Look concerned. Alicia lowered her cloth. I was looking at the paper. His gray eyes narrowed. You are a terrible liar. I clean for a living. Lying was not listed in the job description. Silence. Alicia immediately regretted the sentence. Nathan stared at her. Then, unexpectedly, the corner of his mouth moved. Barely. Continue. Alicia turned toward the bookcase before he could see her surprise. Behind her, Nathan lifted the coffee cup. Alicia heard ceramic touch with 3 minutes later. When she turned again, his face had gone pale. By 9:15, Michael had canceled Nathan's morning appointments. Shaw returned at 9:38. Alicia stood in the hallway while Margaret closed the study door. Wednesday followed almost exactly. Shaw arrived at 8. The study remained private for 30 minutes. At 9:12, Alicia collected a black cup from Nathan's desk. A faint white ring marked the inside near the bottom. She held it beneath the kitchen light. Problem? The chef asked. Alicia looked up. Hard water, maybe. In this house. He laughed. The filtration system costs more than my car. Alicia rinsed the cup. The ring disappeared slowly beneath hot water. She said nothing. Friday morning, she watched the service more carefully. Nathan drank black coffee. No sugar. No cream. The kitchen staff prepared the pot at 6:30. At 7:55, Shaw arrived. At 8, Margaret cleared the private hallway. At 8:34, Alicia entered the study. Nathan's cup already sat half empty. The white ring was there. At 11, Nathan left a business meeting early because he could not concentrate. Alicia wrote 3 times on the back of an old cleaning receipt. Monday, 7:43. Wednesday, 8. Friday, 7:55. Then she wrote Sunday. No visit. No episode. She folded the receipt and placed it inside her uniform pocket. The following week, Nathan traveled to New York for 4 days. Alicia expected the mansion to feel calmer. Instead, she found herself waiting. Michael received calls from Nathan each morning. Monday, meetings completed. Tuesday, dinner with investors. Wednesday, 12-hour workday. Thursday, flight delayed by snow. No doctor. No episode. Nathan returned Friday. Night looking tired but clear-eyed. Shaw visited Saturday morning. By noon, Nathan was back in bed. Alicia stood alone in the staff pantry, holding a stack of folded napkins. Her hands had stopped moving. She did not know what the white ring was. She did not know whether it meant anything. She knew only that the same 3 things kept arriving together. Shaw. A closed study. Nathan becoming sick. Alicia heard footsteps and quickly resumed folding. Dr. Shaw appeared in the pantry doorway. Miss Carter. Alicia looked up. Doctor. His eyes moved to her hands, then to the folded receipt barely visible at the edge of her pocket. You seem observant. Alicia forced herself to smile. Cleaning requires it. Shaw stepped closer, still several feet away. Observation can become curiosity, I suppose. And curiosity can make ordinary things look suspicious. Alicia met his eyes. The pantry suddenly felt smaller. I only clean what I am assigned, doctor. Shaw smiled. Good. He turned and left. Alicia waited until his footsteps disappeared. Then she removed the receipt from her pocket. For 1 second, she considered tearing it in half. Her father needed her paycheck. Her health insurance had started 12 days earlier. Powerful men could ruin ordinary lives without raising their voices. Alicia knew that. She folded the receipt again and slipped it deeper into her pocket. Upstairs, a door opened. Michael called for Margaret. Nathan was sick again. Alicia closed her eyes. The pattern was no longer whispering. It was asking what she planned to do. Alicia made her decision at 6:20 the next morning while standing alone in the mansion kitchen with a fresh pot of coffee warming beneath soft amber lights. She did not feel brave. Brave people in stories always seemed certain. Alicia felt nauseated, underqualified, and painfully aware that her father had called the night before to complain about the price of his blood pressure prescription. Losing this job would not create a dramatic tragedy. It would create late bills. That was worse because it was ordinary. She looked at the black coffee cup on the silver tray. Then she looked at the kitchen inventory sheet clipped. Beside the pantry door, coffee beans received Tuesday. Filters opened Wednesday. Cups inspected nightly. Water systems serviced last month. Alicia removed the entire coffee service from the tray. She washed the black cup again, replaced the carafe, opened a fresh package of filters, and prepared a new pot from sealed coffee beans stored in the pantry. She wrote every change on the inventory sheet. At 7:10, Margaret entered. "Why are you remaking coffee?" Alicia kept her voice calm. "The first pot tasted stale." Margaret frowned. "You tasted Mr. Callahan's coffee?" "One drop from the carafe." That part was true. "And stale?" Margaret looked toward the clock. "Do not make us late." Alicia delivered the tray at 7:22. Nathan sat behind his desk wearing a white dress shirt with the sleeves buttoned at his wrists. He looked tired but alert. "Different coffee?" he asked after the first sip. Alicia's heart jumped. "Fresh package, sir." Nathan studied the cup. "Better." Alicia left. Dr. Shaw did not visit that morning. At noon, Nathan completed 3 meetings. At 4, he walked through the West Hall arguing with Michael about a property contract. At 7, Alicia saw him eating dinner. No trembling. No confusion. No canceled schedule. She wrote Tuesday on the back of her receipt. Clear. Wednesday, Shaw arrived at 8:05. Alicia was ordered away from the study until 8:35. At 10:20, Nathan became dizzy during a call. White ring inside the black cup. Alicia wrote the time. Thursday, she replaced the coffee service again before sunrise. No Shaw. No episode. Friday morning, Alicia did something even smaller. She numbered the fresh coffee filters in pencil on the cardboard package flap, not the filters themselves. 1 through 40. She counted the remaining supply after breakfast. 1 filter was missing beyond the number used by the kitchen. She checked the trash. Nothing. Her hands became cold. "Alicia." She turned. Michael stood behind her. "Mr. Callahan wants the library cleaned before 11. "Of course." Alicia slipped the receipt into her pocket. In the library, Nathan sat near the fireplace reviewing a folder. His color looked better. Alicia worked silently along the bookshelves. "You changed my coffee Tuesday." She nearly dropped her cloth. "Yes, sir." "And Thursday?" Alicia turned slowly. Nathan's gray eyes remained on the folder. "Yes." "Why?" "I thought it tasted stale." "You do not drink my coffee." Alicia said nothing. Nathan closed the folder. "You are a terrible liar, remember?" Her pulse quickened. "I remember." "So?" Alicia looked toward the open library door. Then at Nathan. "I am trying to understand something." His expression cooled. "About me?" "About my cleaning schedule." Nathan watched her for a long moment. That was worse than the first lie. Alicia lowered her eyes. "I am sorry. Do not apologize. Improve." He reopened the folder. The conversation was over. Alicia finished the room with trembling hands. At 3:15, she returned to the service pantry and found Dr. Shaw standing beside her cleaning cart. He held the folded receipt between 2 fingers. Alicia stopped. "Looking for this?" Shaw asked. Her mouth went dry. "That is mine. Monday, Wednesday, Friday." Times beside each date. His smile was calm. "Interesting cleaning notes." Alicia extended her hand. "Please give it back." Shaw looked at her for another second, then placed the receipt in her palm. "You have a good job here, Miss Carter." "I know. Health insurance. Reliable salary." Alicia's face went still. Shaw continued. "Your father must appreciate that." The pantry became silent. Alicia had never mentioned her father to him. Shaw adjusted his cuff. "People misunderstand patterns when they lack proper education." "I never said I found a pattern." His smile disappeared. Only for a moment. Alicia saw it. Shaw stepped away from the cart. "Be careful with assumptions." He left. Alicia stood motionless until the hallway fell quiet. Then she opened her hand. The receipt was damp from her palm. Fear told her to throw it away. Fear reminded her of rent, insurance, and her father's prescriptions. Alicia folded the paper carefully and returned it to her pocket. Upstairs, Nathan Callahan sat alone with his untouched black coffee cup. For the first time in 8 months, he was beginning to notice that his cleaning lady was not watching his illness. She was watching when it arrived. The silver serving piece disappeared on Monday morning, and by 10:15, Alicia Carter was standing in Nathan Callahan's library while 6 people quietly treated her like a thief. Margaret Doyle placed the empty velvet storage box on the mahogany table. Michael Hayes stood near the fireplace with his arms folded. Dr. Everett Shaw remained beside the windows, wearing the calm expression of a man observing someone else's problem. Nathan sat behind his desk, pale from another difficult morning, his black coffee cup untouched beside a stack of financial reports. Alicia kept both hands at her sides. "Tell him where it was found," Margaret said. Michael answered. "Inside Miss Carter's cleaning cart, beneath the folded cloths." Alicia looked at him. "I did not put it there." Margaret closed her eyes briefly. "Alicia, I did not take it." Shaw sighed softly. The sound was almost sympathetic. "Stress can affect judgment." Alicia turned toward him. "My judgment is fine. Nobody said otherwise." "You just did." Silence settled over the library. Margaret looked horrified. Michael's expression sharpened. Nathan slowly raised his eyes from the desk. Shaw smiled. "Mr. Callahan, perhaps this is a staff matter." Nathan looked at Alicia. "Did you take it?" The question was simple. No accusation. No comfort. Alicia felt every eye in the room waiting for the answer they had already chosen. Her father's prescription bottle flashed through her mind. The rent payment due Friday. The health insurance card in her wallet. 6 weeks of steady work could disappear in one sentence. She looked at the black coffee cup beside Nathan's hand. A faint white ring marked the ceramic. Her fear changed shape. "No, sir," she said. Nathan's gray eyes stayed on hers. "But I know why you are sick." Nobody moved. Margaret stopped breathing for what felt like a full second. Michael lowered his arms. Shaw's face remained calm, but Alicia saw his right hand tighten around the edge of his coat. Nathan leaned back slowly. "Everyone out." Shaw stepped forward. "Nathan, given your condition, I do not think this is the time for unnecessary stress." Nathan did not raise his voice. "I said everyone out." Michael moved first. Margaret followed. Shaw remained. "She has been tracking your schedule," he said. Alicia's heart jumped. Nathan looked at him. "How do you know that?" Shaw paused. "Too long. She mentioned cleaning notes." "No," Alicia said. Shaw turned toward her. Alicia's voice shook, but she continued. "You took the receipt from my cart." Nathan's expression changed. "You searched her cart?" "I found a piece of paper in plain view." "In the service pantry," Alicia said. "Beside my cart." Shaw looked at Nathan. "This is becoming ridiculous." Nathan's voice became quieter. "Then leaving should be easy." Shaw stared at him. For 10 years, he had been allowed through every locked door in Nathan Callahan's life. Alicia watched him realize that one had just closed. Shaw collected his medical case. "Call me when you are thinking clearly." Nathan's eyes hardened. "That may be sooner than you expect." Shaw left. The library door closed behind him. Alicia stood alone with the white Mafia Boss. Nathan pointed toward the chair across from his desk. "Sit." Alicia did not move. "Am I fired?" "I have not decided what I believe." "That sounds like yes with better furniture." Nathan stared at her. Alicia immediately looked down. "Sorry. You are still a terrible liar." "I was not lying." "No. You were being disrespectful." Alicia swallowed. "Yes, sir." Nathan almost smiled, but exhaustion erased it. "Sit." She sat. Nathan moved the black coffee cup farther from his hand. Alicia noticed. "Explain." She reached into her uniform pocket and removed the folded cleaning receipt. Her fingers trembled as she opened it on the desk. "I do not know what is wrong with you." Strong beginning. Alicia ignored the comment. "I know when the episodes happen." Nathan looked down. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Times. Sundays marked clear. New York marked clear. Shaw visits marked beside each episode. "You tracked me." "I tracked rooms." Nathan looked at her. "That is not what this says." Alicia took a breath. "Dr. Shaw visits. Your study closes for 30 minutes. I come back. There is a white ring in your cup. Then, you get sick." Nathan's face became unreadable. "You are accusing my physician of 10 years based on dirty dishes." "No." Alicia leaned forward before fear could stop her. I am telling you your dishes are not dirty until after he arrives. The room went silent. Nathan looked toward the black cup. And the coffee changes? Sometimes. The filters disappear. One extra was missing Friday. You counted coffee filters? I clean for a living. Nathan stared at the receipt again. Alicia saw disbelief in his face. Then calculation. Then something colder. Why did you change my coffee Tuesday and Thursday? To see if the pattern changed. And you stayed well. Nathan's fingers became still. Alicia looked at him directly. Sir, I am not a doctor. I cannot tell you what is making you sick. She pushed the receipt across the desk. But I can tell you when it keeps happening. Nathan Callahan had spent 8 months asking specialists what was wrong with his body. A cleaning lady had just asked a different question. Who kept being there when it happened? Nathan looked at the black coffee cup. Then at Alicia. Do not touch anything from my study. Alicia's face fell. I understand. No. Nathan reached for his phone. You do not. His gray eyes remained on the cup. I want everything exactly where it is. He called Michael. Lock the study. Preserve the coffee service, kitchen inventory sheets, staff access records, and every household schedule from the last 8 months. Alicia stared at him. Nathan continued. Bring in independent medical and legal professionals. Nobody uses Shaw's people. He ended the call. The library became silent again. Mr. Callahan, Alicia whispered. Nathan looked at her. What happens to me? For the first time, he seemed to understand what the question truly meant. Not the mystery. Not the illness. Her paycheck. Her insurance. Her father's medicine. Nathan looked toward the empty velvet box. Nothing, he said. Alicia blinked. Until I know who put that silver piece in your cart, you still work here. Her eyes filled, but she looked away before the tears could fall. Nathan picked up the black coffee cup by the handle and studied the faint. Ring inside. And Alicia. She looked back. Yes, sir. His expression became still. From now on, when you notice something, you tell me. Alicia held his gaze. Even if you do not like it. Nathan looked at the cup in his hand. Especially then. By noon, Nathan Callahan's private study no longer looked like the room of a powerful man. It looked like a question nobody wanted to answer. The black coffee cup remained exactly where Nathan had placed it, sealed inside a clear evidence container brought by an independent attorney. The silver tray, coffee carafe, and used filters, kitchen inventory sheets, and 8 months of household schedules had been secured separately. Alicia stood near the mahogany table while Michael Hayes arranged copies of access logs in careful rows. Nathan sat across from her, his face still pale, but his eyes sharper than they had been that morning. Start again, he said. Alicia looked at the papers. I already explained. Explain it like I am wrong. She raised her eyes. About what? About everything. Alicia hesitated. Nathan leaned back. You said I become sick after certain visits. I want the pattern without your conclusion. Alicia understood. She pulled the cleaning receipt from her pocket and placed it beside the household calendar. Sunday, no visit, no episode. Monday, Dr. Shaw arrives before 8. The study closes, you become weak before lunch. Tuesday, no visit, you finish your schedule. Wednesday, same as Monday. Thursday, clear. Friday, same pattern again. Michael looked down at the access records. That happened 3 weeks in a row. Alicia nodded. Then Mr. Callahan traveled to New York. Nathan's eyes remained on her. And, for days away. No episode. I was tired. You worked 12 hours Wednesday. Michael glanced at Nathan. She is right. Nathan ignored him. Alicia continued. You returned Friday night. Dr. Shaw came Saturday morning. You were back in bed by noon. Silence. Nathan looked at the black cup through the clear container. The white ring. I saw it 3 times. Only 3. 3 times clearly. I did not start looking before that. Nathan nodded once. Good. Alicia frowned. Good. You are separating what you know from what you assume. Alicia looked at him. That is what cleaning requires. You keep saying that. Because nobody believes cleaning requires a brain. Michael looked away, hiding a smile. Nathan did not. Continue. Alicia moved the kitchen inventory sheet beside the calendar. Coffee service changed Tuesday and Thursday. Fresh filters. Fresh beans. Clean carafe. No episodes. Shaw did not visit those days, Michael said. Exactly, Nathan replied. Alicia shook her head. No, that is 2 things changing at once. Both men looked at her. If the coffee changed and Dr. Shaw was absent, you cannot know which mattered. Nathan became completely still. Michael stared at Alicia. You thought of that? Yes. Nathan looked down at the papers. For 8 months, highly paid specialists had given him theories wrapped in complicated language. Alicia Carter was refusing to claim certainty because the pattern was incomplete. Somehow, that made him trust her more. What would you do next? He asked. Alicia's expression tightened. Nothing medical. I did not ask for medical advice. I would compare staff access, coffee service records, and your schedule. I would let qualified people test anything that needs testing. Nathan nodded. That is exactly what is happening. His phone rang. Independent attorney Rebecca Sloan spoke for less than a minute. Nathan listened without interruption. Understood. He ended the call. Alicia watched his face. What did she say? Nathan looked at her. Preliminary screening found an unexplained residue on one service item. The laboratory is conducting confirmatory testing. Nobody is naming the substance or cause yet. Alicia's hands tightened. Nathan noticed. You were right about the ring. No. Alicia's voice was quiet. I was right that it should not have been there. Nathan held her gaze. Difference? A big one. Nathan almost smiled. You are difficult. I have been told. Michael cleared his throat. There is another issue. He placed an access report on the table. The private study security system records authorized entries. Shaw's credential appears on 27 dates during the last 8 months. Nathan looked at the list. My episodes. Michael placed a second page beside it. 22 occurred within several hours of those visits. 4 happened the next morning. One date is unclear. Alicia stared at the pages. The room became colder despite the fireplace. Nathan did not move. And the silver serving piece? He asked. We reviewed hallway cameras. Alicia's cart was left in the service pantry for 9 minutes. Shaw entered the pantry during that window. Alicia closed her eyes. Her job, her insurance, her father's prescriptions. All of it had nearly disappeared because someone placed a piece of silver beneath folded cloths. Nathan saw the realization move across her face. Alicia. She opened her eyes. You are cleared of the theft allegation. She nodded, but no relief came. He knew about my father. Nathan's expression changed. What? He mentioned my father. My health insurance. He knew why I needed this job. Michael looked at Nathan. Nathan's voice became very quiet. When? Friday. In the pantry. Why did you not tell me? Alicia laughed once without humor. You were investigating me for stealing silver. The answer landed harder than anger. Nathan looked away. For years, he had believed people told him the truth because they feared lying. Alicia had just shown him another possibility. Sometimes people stayed silent because power made honesty expensive. Nathan looked back at her. That changes today. Alicia's eyes narrowed. You cannot order people to trust you. Michael became still. Nathan stared at her. Then he nodded slowly. No. His voice softened. I suppose I cannot. Alicia looked surprised. Nathan turned toward Michael. Contact Rebecca. I want Shaw invited here tomorrow morning. Alicia's face tightened. Nathan saw it. You will not be in the room unless you choose to be. Silence. Alicia looked at the schedules, the access logs, and the black cup sealed beneath clear plastic. Will he know you suspect him? No. What will you tell him? Nathan's gray eyes settled on the coffee cup. That I am sick again. Alicia understood. Tomorrow, the pattern would finally be given a chance to reveal itself. She looked at Nathan. I want to be here. He studied her face. Are you certain? Alicia thought about the receipt in her pocket and the silver piece beneath her cleaning cloths. Yes. Nathan nodded. No argument. No command. Outside the study, Chicago snow pressed against the windows. Inside, the cleaning lady and the Mafia Boss sat on opposite sides of a table covered in dates, times, and ordinary household records. Neither of them had solved the mystery yet. But for the first time in 8 months, Nathan Callahan was no longer asking what was happening to him. He was waiting to see who needed him to remain sick. At 8:40 the next morning, Dr. Everett Shaw entered the Callahan mansion expecting to find a sick man and discovered a house behaving almost too normally. Margaret supervised breakfast service. Michael Hayes stood near the front windows reading messages on his phone. Alicia Carter pushed her cleaning cart across the entrance hall with her eyes lowered. Shaw removed his coat. How is Nathan? Michael looked up. Bad night. Shaw's expression tightened with professional concern. Symptoms. Weakness. Confusion. He asked for you. Shaw nodded and walked toward the private study. Alicia continued moving. She could feel her heartbeat in her throat, but her hands remained steady on the cart. Nathan had given her a choice. She had chosen to stay visible. Inside the adjoining library, Nathan sat beside attorney Rebecca Sloan and an independent physician, Dr. Karen Mitchell. Nathan wore a white dress shirt and dark trousers. His face looked tired because he had slept only 4 hours, but his thoughts were clear. A small audio monitor carried voices from the study. Nobody spoke as Shaw entered the next room. Nathan, Shaw called. Silence. Shaw crossed the study. Alicia entered 30 seconds later with a folded cloth and a small trash bag. Shaw turned immediately. What are you doing here? Cleaning, doctor. Not now. Alicia looked toward the black coffee cup on Nathan's desk. It was empty and clean. A replacement cup from the household service had been placed there under Rebecca's supervision. Margaret told me to empty the trash. Then empty it and leave. Alicia moved toward the brass bin. Shaw watched her. Miss Carter. She stopped. Yes. Where is Nathan's usual coffee cup? Alicia turned slowly. I do not know. Shaw's eyes moved toward the silver tray. The black one. I know which cup you mean. Then where is it? Alicia folded the trash liner closed. I do not know. Shaw stepped closer but remained several feet away. You handled it Monday. The attorneys collected several service items. Shaw's face changed. The reaction lasted less than a second. In the library, Nathan saw it through the discreet security feed. Rebecca wrote one word on her legal pad. Shaw looked toward the study door. Why would attorneys collect coffee service? Alicia said nothing. Miss Carter. His voice sharpened. Did you tell Nathan something about his coffee? Alicia met his eyes. You should ask Mr. Callahan. Shaw stared at her. What exactly did you see? The question came too quickly. Alicia's fingers tightened around the trash bag. In the adjoining room, Nathan stood. Rebecca raised one hand. Wait. Nathan remained still. Shaw moved toward the desk and looked at the empty cup. Did you keep the old cup? Alicia did not answer. Where is it? Shaw asked. Nathan opened the library door. Why do you need the cup, Everett? Shaw froze midword. Alicia turned. Nathan stood in the doorway with Michael, Rebecca, and Dr. Mitchell several feet behind him. No guards. No raised voices. Just 4 people watching. Shaw recovered quickly. Nathan, Michael said you were ill. He said I had a bad night. He said you were confused. Michael lies better than Alicia. Alicia looked at Nathan. Under any other circumstances, she might have been offended. Shaw forced a smile. What is this? Nathan entered the study. A question. About a coffee cup? You seemed interested in it. I am your physician. Then ask about me. Silence. Nathan stopped beside the desk. You entered this room and asked Michael about my symptoms. Good. Then Alicia walked in, and within 2 minutes you asked where my cup was 3 times. Shaw looked toward Rebecca. This is absurd. Rebecca remained silent. Nathan continued. You also searched Alicia's cleaning cart Friday. I found a receipt. And Monday, a silver serving piece appeared beneath her cleaning cloths after you entered the service pantry. Shaw's face hardened. You are trusting a cleaning lady over your doctor? Alicia looked down. Nathan saw it. No. His voice was calm. I am trusting dates, access records, security footage, and preliminary independent findings. Shaw stared at him. What findings? Nathan did not answer. The silence changed the room. Shaw looked at the desk again, then at the empty cup. Rebecca noticed. Nathan noticed too. Everett, Nathan said quietly. You have treated me for 10 years. Yes. Then you know I dislike repeating myself. Shaw's jaw tightened. Nathan's gray eyes remained steady. Why do you need the cup? Shaw opened his mouth. Nothing came. Alicia stood beside her cleaning cart, still wearing the pale gray uniform that had made everyone underestimate her. She watched the respected physician search for an explanation and find none that arrived quickly enough. Dr. Mitchell stepped forward. Dr. Shaw, independent laboratory testing identified unexplained residue on a service item used by Mr. Callahan. Confirmatory analysis is ongoing. Until the review is complete, you will have no role in his medical care. Shaw looked at Nathan. You cannot be serious. I am. After 10 years? Nathan's expression did not change. 10 years is why I gave you the chance to answer. Shaw looked toward Alicia. For the first time, she did not lower her eyes. Rebecca closed her legal pad. All further communication can go through counsel. Shaw stood completely still. The room went silent. Nathan had spent 8 months believing his greatest enemy was an illness without a name. Now he looked at the man who had been standing beside him through every episode and understood why Alicia had frightened him. She had done something cameras, money, and authority had failed to do. She had noticed the ordinary things. 3 weeks later, Nathan Callahan sat in the same private study and drank coffee from a plain white cup. The black cup was gone. Rebecca Sloan had placed it with preserved records, laboratory documentation, access, reports, and every household schedule Alicia had helped organize. Nathan did not miss it. Independent medical specialists had confirmed repeated exposure to an unidentified contaminant that did not belong on his service items. They explained what the findings could support and, more importantly, what they could not yet prove. Nathan listened. He had learned to respect the difference. His health improved steadily after Shaw lost access to the mansion and his medical care. The weakness faded first, then the confusion. By the 3rd week, Nathan completed full workdays without needing to sit in dark rooms and wait for his thoughts to return. The financial review moved more slowly. Rebecca entered the study at 9 that morning carrying a thick folder. Alicia was cleaning the windows near the bookshelves. Nathan looked at her. "Stay." Alicia lowered her cloth. "I am working." "You can work and listen." "That sounds inefficient." Rebecca smiled. Nathan did not. "Stay." Alicia remained beside the window. Rebecca opened the folder. "We identified payments from a consulting company controlled by Martin Voss to an entity connected to Shaw." Nathan's face became still. Martin Voss had served as executive vice president of Callahan Holdings for 11 years. He had spent holidays in this mansion. "How much?" Nathan asked. "Enough to matter. The transfers began 9 months ago." Alicia stopped cleaning. Rebecca continued. "Around the same time your symptoms started. We also found internal planning documents discussing temporary transfer of executive authority if you became medically unable to manage company assets." Nathan looked toward the winter light. "Martin was next in line." "Correct." "And Shaw controlled my medical records." "Correct." Silence. Alicia watched Nathan absorb the truth. She expected anger. Instead, his face became empty. Betrayal did not always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it simply removed the last explanation a person wanted to believe. "Can you prove they worked together?" Nathan asked. "We can prove financial connections and concerning communications. The authorities and counsel will determine the rest. We are not making claims beyond the evidence." Nathan nodded. "Good." Alicia looked at him. 3 weeks earlier, he might have demanded certainty before the facts were ready. Now he waited. Rebecca closed the folder. "There is something else." She placed a photograph of the silver serving piece on the desk. "Security footage confirms Shaw entered the pantry during the 9-minute window before it was found in Alicia's cart. We cannot see his hands clearly enough to establish exactly what he did." Alicia's expression tightened. Rebecca looked at her. "But the household theft allegation against you has been formally removed from every internal record." Alicia nodded. "Thank you. You should never have been treated as guilty before the review was complete." Margaret's voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned. The head housekeeper stood holding a linen inventory sheet. Her face was uncomfortable. "I did that," Margaret said. Alicia stared at her. "You were protecting the house." "I was protecting my assumptions." Margaret swallowed. "I am sorry." Alicia did not answer immediately. Nathan watched her. He did not speak for her. Finally, Alicia nodded. "Thank you for saying it." Margaret left. Rebecca gathered her files. "The legal process will continue. Shaw and Voss will communicate through counsel. Appropriate authorities have received the relevant records." Nathan looked at Alicia. "All because of a coffee cup." Alicia shook her head. "No. Here we go." The cup was one detail. She walked toward the desk. The schedule mattered. Sundays mattered. New York mattered. The missing filters mattered. Nathan leaned back. "You enjoy correcting me. You told me to speak when I noticed something." Rebecca laughed softly and left the room. Nathan waited until the door closed. Why did nobody else see it? Alicia looked around the study. Cameras watched the hallway. Access systems recorded credentials. Staff signed schedules. Specialists reviewed medical charts. Millions of dollars had built layers of protection around Nathan Callahan. "Maybe everyone was watching the wrong things," she said. Nathan's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Alicia placed her cloth on the cleaning cart. "Your cameras watch doors. Your security watches strangers. Your doctors watched symptoms. Your executives watched money. She looked at him. Nobody watched your ordinary day. Nathan became silent. Alicia continued. I knew when your coffee changed because I washed the cup. I knew when the filter disappeared because I emptied the trash. I knew Sundays were different because Sunday cleaning is lighter. Nathan looked toward the white coffee cup in his hand. Being watched is not the same as being seen, he said. Alicia smiled faintly. Now you are noticing. Nathan set the cup down. No. His voice was quieter. I am listening. Alicia returned to the window. Outside, Chicago moved beneath a pale winter sky. Inside the mansion, the white mafia boss finally understood the truth that hurt more than betrayal. He had built a life where hundreds of people knew his name, his wealth, and his power. Yet the first person to truly see what was happening to him had been the black cleaning lady everyone else had trained themselves not to notice. 4 months later, Alicia Carter stood in the Callahan Mansion kitchen at 7:15 in the morning, holding an inventory tablet instead of a cleaning cloth. She still wore practical black shoes. She still arrived early. She still noticed when the coffee filters were stocked in the wrong cabinet. The difference was that now, noticing was officially part of her job. Nathan had not handed her a title out of gratitude. Alicia would have refused it if he had. Instead, Callahan Household Operations created an employee education program open to every full-time staff member who had completed 6 months of service. Courses in facilities management, compliance, inventory control, and workplace safety were covered through approved local programs. Alicia applied for facilities compliance training. She completed the entrance assessment, sat through 2 interviews, and earned a junior operations position on her own record. Nathan never entered the interview room. Alicia had made sure of that. You would have intimidated them, she told him afterward. I own the house. Exactly. Nathan had stared at her for 3 seconds before walking away. Michael laughed for nearly a minute. Nathan's health had continued to improve. His medical care remained under an independent team, and every household service procedure had been rewritten with documented access controls. The legal matters involving Everett Shaw and Martin Voss continued through attorneys and appropriate authorities. Nathan rarely discussed them. He had learned that justice did not always arrive with a dramatic confession. Sometimes it arrived as preserved records, patient investigators, closed access, and people finally being required to answer questions they once believed nobody would ask. Alicia entered the kitchen storage room and checked the morning delivery. Coffee beans, tea, flour, fresh fruit. She marked 2 damaged boxes for return. You missed one. Nathan's voice came from behind her. Alicia turned. The white mafia boss stood near the counter wearing a dark suit without a tie. He looked healthier. The color had returned to his face, and the exhaustion that once lived permanently beneath his gray eyes had faded. Alicia looked at the delivery. Where? Nathan pointed toward a dented carton near the bottom. Alicia examined it. That is cosmetic. Still damaged. The product seal is intact. You are defending a box. I am protecting the budget. Nathan folded his arms. My budget. The household budget. Which is my money. Alicia tapped the tablet. Then stop buying coffee that costs $30 a pound. Nathan stared at her. Get out of my kitchen. Alicia smiled. It is Margaret's kitchen. Nathan almost answered, then stopped. Alicia raised an eyebrow. Learning. Regretting. She returned to the inventory list. Nathan walked toward the coffee station. A plain white cup sat beside the machine. He poured coffee himself. For months earlier, he would have waited for staff. For months earlier, every cup had arrived through a system he never questioned because powerful men often mistook convenience for control. He lifted the cup, then looked at Alicia. Anything I should know? Alicia glanced at the coffee machine. It was cleaned at 6:40. Fresh filter. New package of beans opened this morning. Water system checked Tuesday. Nathan waited. Alicia looked at him. You are finally learning to notice. The kitchen became quiet. Morning light moved across the marble counter. Nathan looked down at the white cup. No, he said. I am learning to listen. Alicia's expression softened. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Nathan had spent most of his life believing respect moved downward from powerful people to everyone beneath them. He had been wrong. Respect was not a favor. It was attention. It was the willingness to believe that intelligence could wear a cleaning uniform, that courage could speak with a shaking voice, and that dignity did not become smaller because a person needed a paycheck. Alicia turned back to the inventory tablet. Nathan drank his coffee. Too strong, he said. Then make it yourself tomorrow. Nathan looked at the cup in his hand. I did make it. Alicia smiled without turning around. Then you found the problem. Nathan stood completely still. Michael entered the kitchen, heard the last sentence, and immediately walked back out. Alicia laughed. Nathan shook his head, but the corner of his mouth lifted. The sound faded into the quiet mansion. Months earlier, Alicia had entered this house determined to remain invisible. Nathan had lived inside it believing visibility meant power. Both had learned differently. She no longer lowered her eyes when he entered a room. He no longer assumed the quietest person had the least to say. Outside, Chicago morning brightened beyond the tall windows. Inside, a mafia boss held an ordinary white coffee cup while a former cleaning lady reviewed an inventory sheet beside him. No applause. No grand ceremony. Just two people standing in the same kitchen, separated by wealth, history, and everything the world had taught them about their places. Yet respect had crossed the distance. And that day, the world remembered what dignity looks like.